Nobody asked if you were okay. Not because they did not care, but because you never looked like you needed them to. You were the one who had it together, the one who showed up, the one who handled things. And somewhere in the middle of handling everything for everyone else, nobody noticed that you were quietly falling apart. This video is for that person, and if you have ever described yourself as fine when you were anything but, stay with me. Because what I am about to tell you is going to explain something about yourself that you have probably spent years not being able to name. You were not fine. You were just incredibly, exhaustingly good at pretending to be. And there is a reason for that. A real, psychological, deeply human reason. And once you understand it, nothing about yourself will feel quite as confusing as it did before. Let us start at the beginning. There is a type of person that every friendship group has, every family has, every workplace has. They are the one you call when things fall apart. The one who shows up with solutions when everyone else shows up with panic. The one who listens for hours without ever asking for the same in return. The one who, when you ask how they are doing, says fine, and means it so convincingly that you never think to ask again. Psychologists have a term for the role this person plays. They call it the parentified child, the emotional caretaker, the highly functional yet chronically under-supported individual. But most people who live this experience do not use those terms. They just call it being strong, and they have been called strong for so long that they have forgotten it was never a choice. Here is what actually happened. At some point in your early life, and for most people who carry this pattern, it happens before the age of 10, you learned something, not in a classroom, not from a book. You learned it from watching what happened when you needed something. Maybe you needed comfort and the adults around you were too overwhelmed to give it. Maybe you needed someone to notice you were struggling and nobody did. Maybe you expressed an emotion, fear, sadness, anger, and the response you got taught you that expressing emotions had consequences. So you adapted. Because children are the most adaptive creatures on Earth. They will reshape their entire personality to fit the emotional environment they are placed in. Not because they are weak, because survival requires it. And the adaptation you made was this. You decided, at a level far below conscious thought, that needing things was dangerous. That vulnerability invited disappointment. That the safest version of yourself was the version that required nothing from anyone. So you became fine. Not happy, not okay. Fine. Fine is not an emotion. Fine is a shield. And you got so good at holding it up that eventually you forgot it was there. Now I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with the question rather than answering it immediately. When was the last time someone asked how you were doing and you told them the truth? Not the summarized version. Not the everything is fine version. The actual truth. The version that includes the exhaustion you cannot explain. The loneliness that exists even when you are surrounded by people who love you. The quiet voice that wonders whether anyone would show up for you the way you show up for everyone else. For most people carrying this pattern, the honest answer to that question is a very long time ago, maybe never. And here is why that matters more than you might think. Human beings are not designed to be emotionally self-sufficient. That is not a weakness, that is biology. From the moment we are born, we are wired for connection, for co-regulation, for the experience of being seen and understood by another person. It is not optional, it is as fundamental as breathing. When you cut yourself off from that, when you spend years performing fine while something underneath quietly deteriorates, the cost is not abstract, it is physical. It is psychological. It is relational. Let me tell you what it actually costs. The first cost is your body. There is a growing body of research on what happens to the human nervous system when emotions are chronically suppressed rather than processed. The findings are not subtle. Unprocessed emotional stress does not disappear. It relocates. It lives in the tension in your shoulders that never fully releases. In the exhaustion that a full night of sleep does not fix. In the stomach problems and the headaches and the immune system that keeps failing at inconvenient moments. in the anxiety that arrives without warning and leaves without explanation. Your body has been keeping score of everything your mind refused to feel, and it has been presenting the bill in the only language it has: physical sensation. The second cost is your relationships. Here's the painful irony of being the strong one. The more reliable you are, the less people check on you. The more you manage, the more you get given to manage. The more you give without asking for anything in return, the more the dynamic calcifies into something that looks like friendship but functions like a service. And then one day you realize something that hits with a particular kind of grief. The people in your life do not actually know you. They know the version of you that shows up, the capable version, the fine version. They have never met the version that falls apart at 2 a.m., the version that cries in the car before walking into the building, the version that desperately, quietly aches to be taken care of for once. Because you never let them, you protected them from that version of you, just like you always have, and you resent them for not knowing, even though you are the one who kept it hidden. This is the trap at the center of the always fine pattern. You build a wall to protect yourself from disappointment, and then you feel profoundly alone on the other side of it. And because the wall looks like strength from the outside, nobody comes to find you. The third cost is your identity. This one is the most subtle and the most devastating. When you spend enough years being the strong one, the capable one, the fine one, you start to lose track of who you actually are underneath the role. You know what you are good at. You know what people need from you. You know how to perform competence and stability and emotional availability for everyone else. But do you know what you need? What you actually feel, not what you perform? What you want your life to look like when it is built around your desires rather than everyone else's? For many people carrying this pattern, the answer is uncomfortable. They do not know. Because for so long, the self was something to be managed rather than expressed. Emotions were signals to be suppressed rather than information to be processed. Needs were inconveniences to be eliminated rather than truths to be honored. And without access to your own emotional experience, you cannot build a life that actually fits you. You build a life that fits the role. Now I want to tell you something, and I need you to hear it fully. None of this is your fault. The pattern you developed was not a mistake. It was not weakness. It was not a personality flaw. It was the most intelligent response available to a child who was placed in an environment that required them to be more than a child should ever have to be. You adapted. You survived. You became extraordinarily capable in the process, but survival strategies have an expiry date. What kept you safe at 7 years old is costing you at 27, or 37, or 47. The hypervigilance that protected you then is exhausting you now. The self-sufficiency that made you dependable to everyone else is isolating you now. The emotional suppression that kept the peace then is disconnecting you from yourself now. And here's what nobody tells you about healing from this pattern. It is not dramatic. It does not happen in a single conversation or a single realization. It does not look like the movie version where someone finally breaks down and everything becomes clear. It looks like this. It looks like noticing when you automatically say fine, and pausing long enough to ask yourself whether that is actually true. It looks like letting one person, just one person, see a version of you that is not managing everything perfectly. It looks like sitting with a feeling for 60 seconds instead of immediately converting it into action or problem solving. It looks like asking for help with something small. Not because you need help, but because you deserve to know what it feels like to receive it. It looks like recognizing that your needs are not inconveniences. They are not burdens. They are not proof that you are too much. They are simply the evidence that you are human. And being human, fully, messily, vulnerably human, was never something you needed to apologize for. The person who is always fine has earned the right to be something more complicated than fine. You have carried enough. You are allowed to put it down. I want to end this video with something that I think about a lot. There is a particular kind of loneliness that only the strong ones know. It is not the loneliness of being alone. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by people who need you, and realizing that the version of you they need does not actually exist. The real you, and the one underneath the capability and the reliability and the fine, has been waiting, patiently, quietly, without complaint. Because that is what they do. But they are still there, and they deserve to be known. If this video reached something in you that has not been reached in a long time, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, not just like it. Share it, because somewhere in your life, there is a person who has been fined for far too long and has never heard anyone name what that actually costs. Be the person who sends them this video, and if you are ready to go deeper, subscribe to Cognitive Lab right now. Because every week we cover the psychology behind the things you feel but cannot explain, the patterns that run your life without your permission, and the research-backed understanding of why you are the way you are, and what you can do about it. This is Cognitive Lab, and you were never just fine. See you in the next video.